Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe. And the best part? Sweeper's so much easier to maneuver than a broom or a vacuum, easily getting around chairs and under the couch. You're right. Now I can focus on you, not your shedding. Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit. Because shed happens.
Six Man Movers here in Nashville is looking for people to join their growing team. They are currently accepting applications for 5 to 10 more members to fill their roster through their website, sixmanmovers.com. Once there, choose resources, then click on We're Hiring. Fill out the form, and a member of their team will be in touch. Experience is preferred, and you must have a valid driver's license. It pays $15 to $21 an hour, depending on your experience. Come join the Six Man Mover crew and get paid to work out. Other great perks include getting paid weekly for your hours, plus tips, flexible scheduling, and much more. You will love being a part of this dynamic roster with Six Man Movers. To apply, just go to sixmanmovers.com, then click on We're Hiring, or give them a call at 615-830-1313 for more information. Again, that number is 615-830-1313. That's Six Man Movers, more than just a Nashville moving company. We exist to help you change your life. Make your next move a win with Six Man Movers.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Everybody stay calm. Stay calm.
Let's take some calls from the public, shall we?
Join the afternoon stretch now on the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. Now here's Bruno and Zach.
Good afternoon, Nashville. It's your boy, Bruno Reagan. Zach is out of the studio today, so I will be covering. I got my loyal friend, companion, compadre, Ray Dosky, to always help me out. Ray, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm here 5 days a week. Well, 6 days a week, buddy.
I know, we grind, dude. That's the thing. We grind, but we love it.
We do
we
love it.
We love it. There's some ebb and flow to it, but you can't love something without the good and the bad. We love it at the end of the day. I'm excited. I always love doing the show, quote unquote, solo. I always say solo, but I really couldn't do it without Ray. So we're here.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, and we're at that part of the year too. We're like, if this was a few, if this was a few weeks ago, though, I mean, we would have to really like plan the show out, have a ton of formatted stuff to talk about to provide a good product, because there's really just not many stories in the June, July. You know, there was a lot of Deshaun Watson, a lot of Live Golf. We're at that point now. I mean, NFL preseason takes over. We're going to talk a lot of football. But before we get into that, we'll start off with baseball, right? I've slowly kind of inched my way into baseball.
Loving it.
Slowly inched my way into baseball. And one thing that did interest me was the free agency this year in baseball, especially before the trade deadline, was absolutely insane. One of the top stories being the Padres stacking up to try and make this, postseason run. I mean, they're getting all this young talent, paying all this money. Everything's looking good. But what is it called? Murphy's Law? I'll take a good look at it real quick. Murphy's Law. This is something we always mess with when I was at Tampa this year for the USFL. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong, Ray, will go wrong. So what does Fernando Tatis Jr. do? He single-handedly nukes the Padres season, next season, because this is 80 games, so it's going to extend.
Into next season.
He single-handedly nukes it. Do you have any initial thoughts on this, Ray, before I get more into it?
I'm a big Fernando Tatis Jr. fan. He was electrifying all last year before the injury, even up come to the season. And my nephews, I have a lot of family members who are San Diego Padre fans. You see a blow like this, it kind of hurts, especially for Padre fans. Because when you look at that lineup between Manny Machado, you get Juan Soto. No, they didn't get Ohtani, who we all know that Bruno loves, so through and through. But to see Fernando not coming in, now 80-game suspension, that hurts. That really hurts.
I mean, he's one of the young. I think he's 23 years old.
He is, yeah.
One of the young up-and-coming talents. The big meme I've seen about it, so the story is Fernando used an anabolic steroid, or he was popped for an anabolic steroid called Colestibol. And what his excuse for using it was he was treating a ringworm infection. So if you don't know, steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, that whole realm, it's not an easy realm to explain and research. It's fairly complicated. It's a lot of chemistry, It's a lot of biology, how the human body reacts, works, and stuff like that. So the initial memes are things like the steroids of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s versus now. And it was just pictures of Mark McGuire and Barry Bonds. Just absolute muscle heads. But the steroids, they're evolving and they're different. These are small compounds that are essentially providing extreme recovery to the body so that you can push your limits, right? So it's not all about just putting on mass. It's just about recovery so you're able to train, perform at a high level for longer periods of time, which, the MLB season is a super long period of time. From what I've researched is cholesterol isn't really at all used as it could not have possibly been recommended as a treatment for ringworm from what I've seen. There's the copium, the people inhaling he was recommended it, this should have all been avoided. And I'm pretty lax on giving the axe to these guys with PEDs. For one, from the moral implications of it, because you're trying to feed your family. Right now, Fernando Tatis Jr. was in a really good spot. It's hard to compromise that spot, by doing something silly like this. But at the same time, there's mouths to feed. I don't put people to the sword for these kind of things. But I'm also lenient in terms of, I know from the NFL standpoint how easy it is to get popped for trace amount of things. For taking something like a protein or maybe, a product, and you can say all you want to. You should do your research. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you, these things are complicated. It's so easy to take a trace amount of something illegal. Mm-hmm. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of NFL players get popped. It's not like these guys are injecting steroids. That does happen every now and then, but it's typically trace amounts of things that get popped. From what I can tell from Fernando Tatis Jr., this was maybe just some negligent consumption of a performance-enhancing drug, which...
Was it a medication?
I don't know if he said what exactly the medication he was taking to... That would have had... I think he was just taking straight cholesterol, which is...
Okay.
Yeah,
just injected it.
Steroids. Listen, yeah, he's like, yeah, the steroid was a medicine. It helped me. Yeah, it's steroids.
That's the intent.
Yeah, I think he was just.
You talked about other stuff, like when you get medications that are prescribed to you, or there's a protein drink, what have you, that's out there that these to kind of enhance performance, what have you. It's a cocktail of stuff, right? And anything that could be on that list of cocktails could be one of the things that's prohibited to be used in the professional sports space, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be the MMA space, NFL, baseball, so forth and so on.
So easy. It's so hard. It's so much that you can get in trouble for.
Compared to like the 80s and 90s where they're like let me get it in there, in the gym, whatever. So it's tough because it's hard to keep track because they put like 20, 30 things in each protein shake or recovery drink or what have you. It's just hard to keep up. I just don't know. I feel like the list gets longer and longer, and it's just like it has like a small ample size of something, but like, oh no, it was part of the list. All right, you're suspended for 3-4 games. I didn't know it was in there. I didn't see it part of the list. I didn't know what it was.
Listen, I'll read you off. I'll read you off what he his quote from when he found out. So this is Fernando Tatis Jr. quoting about his suspension. I've been informed by Major League Baseball that a test sample I submitted returned a positive result for cholesterol, a banned substance. It turns out that I inadvertently took a medication to treat ringworm that contained cholesterol. I should have used the resources available to me in order to ensure that no banned substances were in what I took. I failed to do so. Now, what's the steps for someone to get a medicine when you're a top athlete like Fernando Tatis Jr.? Usually you'll go to your team doctor, and your team doctor will prescribe you things that'll work. That's why I'm not so much buying his story. Now, when you get to a certain level of income, money, contract, typically you just go to people you trust. Because there's millions of people hitting you up, right? There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's chiropractors. They'll be like, come to my practice for free. Come to my practice for free. Mm-hmm. And they'll use you as advertisements, right? So it's a good, I don't know how much of this is true. Right now, I'm erring on the side of this dude was just taking anabolic steroids, and
sure sounds like it.
Yeah, it
sounds like exactly what he did.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many medications that contain cholesterol, because it's one of the top Google searches right now. Is cholesterol and ringworm medication. That's hilarious. So the thing is like technically it is possible that something like this could happen, but it's very much not probable. I mean, it's just sort of, at the end of the day, it really doesn't even matter. He suspended 80 games. The damage is done. You can say all the apologies you want to. He single-handedly nuked the Padres season. Now I say that. What happened to the Braves when Acuna got hurt last season, right? Mm-hmm. They dominated. Yeah. It was Acuna that got hurt, right?
Acuna, yeah.
See, I'm telling you, I'm on this baseball stuff like it's nothing. Mike and Melrose needs to call in and apologize to me for always
you are a
saying
baseball fan.
There's Jeff
friend.
always saying that I'm a Titans homer. Not true. There's Mike always saying we don't talk baseball. I'm all about baseball, man. I'm Mr. Baseball.
There's more
Mr.
to Bruno than meets
baseball.
the eye here, people.
Yeah, I got layers. You know what else has layers? Ogres.
No, but you were an athlete collegiately, and you tasted the pro level as well.
Technically, I was a pro athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So, in terms of regiment, like if you're trying to,
I think about. I think about. Man, I would love to take steroids all the time because it's mainly the recovery thing. I don't want to get lean and jacked. Sure, that would be cool, but it's like, most training days I feel like I got hit by a bus and I need to sleep like 10, 11 hours. Sleep's the biggest thing your body can do to recover. But when you're on these things, I mean, you feel good all the time. It's why people like Ray, you and me can understand this. Grapplers at the high level, they don't get tested for this stuff at all. So a lot of them are on these kind of compounds, anabolic steroids. It's the reason they can roll 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 2 times a day and keep going. It's because like right now I train about 4 or 5 times a week, and it hurts. It catches up with you. Older you get, less of your natural hormone structure breaks down. Harder it is. That's why when you get older, you're like, I just can't go like I. Yeah, you can't. Of course you can't. That's aging. It also sucks because these things do have long-term health effects. So the fact that this young man was 23 years old and he's
a prominent player, by the way. That's why it hits so hard, because of the fact that you're talking about one of the faces of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was some guy that was just basically, a designated hitter or a utility guy. It wouldn't be as much noise compared to it's Tatis Jr. that got hit by this. Because, he's coming back from his injury. He was pushing to get as healthy as possibly can to help these Padres make up most, they're not catching anyone else in the league. They're more or less going to be a wild card, if that, So much like the Braves, because they're not going to catch the Mets. But they're going to try to help make that playoff push. They had Juan Soto. He wants to be part of that. He wants to enjoy this time because he feels like they have a team that can really compete this year.
And
of course, that's what happens, right? That's what kind of, does that lead to decisions at time for them to be able to, hey, I need to get back on the field right now. Yeah.
One thing that's interesting is you could, credit the Padres front office for making the Juan Soto move because, at the end of the day, it actually does. It does. If Juan Soto didn't come to the Padres and they didn't have, this trade deadline stuff, the season, it really is dead.
You think so?
I'm saying it is dead. But now Juan Soto, they can still kind of.
It softens the blow.
Yeah.
It definitely softens the blow with having a young Juan Soto.
There's a chance they're in the rat race.
Yeah, absolutely. They updated their pitching craft. They got a great closer. The pieces are there. Would they have loved to have Tatis Jr. there? Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to have Tatis Jr. on there? But you break the rules, got to pay the price. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is.
Tatis will forfeit $1,510,989 of his $5 million salary this year. So, for a guy like Tatis, who the money he might make in the future of his career, it isn't a soft blow, but you tell anybody, you're getting hit for $1.5 million. That's enough to make you lose sleep for the night. He will lose approximately $1.39 million of his $7 million salary for the first 32 games the next season. So he's in a total loss of $3 million from something like this.
Thank God he's young, because he'll make that up, right? His next contract will be a big contract if he bounces back the right way, right?
Yeah.
Like he's able to put up, we all know that if you have performance, enhancing drugs that are in your system, what have you, that's going to be the measuring stick. You can come back that year, you're off of it. Are you able to meet those same numbers? You're a 320 hitter, now you're like a 290 hitter. You're hitting 45 zingers, but now you're only doing 28. Your RBIs are down 10%. Like that's going to affect. Or if he can come back, kind of meet that same type of level of play, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, there's no way to replace a player like Fernando Tatis Jr. The things I've seen this guy do, he was probably the first baseball highlight I saw this season where I was like, wow, he hit this crazy static standing jump. He had to have a vertical of near 40 inches and snagged a ball before it got into the outfield. That was the first baseball play I saw this season where I was like, wow, that is unbelievable talent.
But Ohtani's still the GOAT.
Ohtani 100% is the GOAT. I mean, this dude crushes baseballs into dust. An absolute 6'8" alpha male Japanese guy who's just killing people. Oh, I asked for it. Let's
here
bring
it
him
is.
on. If you want to call into the Cure hotline, 615-844-5600, let's go to it. Mike in Melrose. Mike, what you got for us, buddy?
Hey, good afternoon.
Good
I'm
afternoon,
actually
Mike.
Mr. Dawson, striking spare. Good to hear some baseball talk. Too bad it's about the steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, whatever he took. Hey, either one of y'all happen to know Tatis is his dad's claim to fame, what he did in baseball?
No, we don't. Can you enlighten us, Mike?
His dad, I think it's the only time ever he hit 2 grand slams in the same inning.
What? That's insane.
Texas Rangers, 2 in the same inning. Hey, as far as the whole performance enhancing, what's y'all's opinion? We've talked before about when Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Clemens,
Palmeiro. Yeah, there's
should
so
they
many.
not? Palmeiro, who said he didn't. Should they be allowed in the Hall of Fame? Not everyone, but a large majority of players were using at the time.
I would prefer that they be in the Hall of Fame considering, the circumstances of that era. But I can see why, from a business standpoint, the MLB doesn't want to acknowledge people who question the integrity of the game, right? So it's the same. I don't know if it's the same exact, but it's like how Calvin Ridley, questioned the integrity of the football when he gambled. That's going to loom over his entire career. These guys, integrity issues. Pete Rose, same thing, gambled, ruined the integrity of the league. That's probably their standpoint. So from a personal, empathetic human standpoint, I wish, because they labored, they earned their right to be in the Hall of Fame, and you really can't tell the story of baseball without a lot of these guys. But I can see the MLB's point of view. I really can, Mike. So,
well, but MLB, but players back in the day were using greenies, amphetamines, and they made the Hall of Fame. And you got, if you're talking about morals, whatever, you got one of the meanest guys on the face of the earth, Ty Cobb, made it. And I don't think they were doing stuff to improve their game and help their team win and make more money. They were not doing. It's a big difference from what they did and what Pete Rose did. Pete Rose is a manager. He had influence on the outcome of a game, which is definitely a big no-no.
Yeah, when it comes to steroids in sports, really, unless there's like a physical combat proponent, like these guys, if they really want to, risk their health, long-term health for short-term, gain, which is what most steroids are, though. They'll catch up with you in your natural production of hormones. They'll catch up with you pretty quickly. But if that's a sacrifice you're willing to make, this is America. If it was up to me, they'd be allowed to. The only time it really shouldn't be allowed is if you're going to punch someone in the face. That's a dangerous. So baseball, I would say is okay. Basketball, I would be like, yeah, let them go. Football, I wouldn't want it because it's such a physical game. But
look at Roger Clemens. Statistically, one of the best pitchers. Yeah, out there, 7 Cy Young wingers, won 20 games 6 times. Statistically, he's there, but sometimes for these writers, the whole steroid thing is way too much for them to overcome. That's the same issue with Bonds, with Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, even though he says he hasn't done it or he never did it. Who knows with that? But yeah, Kurt Schilling is up there. Who knows?
Yeah, man.
But I think they.
At the end of the day, it's cheating. It's against the rules.
Yeah.
It is cheating, and you know that when you take these substances. Whether everybody does it or not, it is cheating. So I get it.
Yeah.
I really wish I had a more solidified hot take for this. Put him in. You should put him in. It's Barry Bonds.
So is he? Would you consider him the home run leader? Even though he's hit that many zingers, there's an asterisk there too, right? As an all-time home run hitter because of the fact he's on steroids.
He hit him.
Yeah.
He hit him.
Yeah.
Well, the sad thing is they didn't need to. The Bonds didn't need to.
No, he didn't.
Great players. So was Clemens. But the thing is, they weren't tested, were they? They never took a test and got suspended, were they?
Nope.
It's just people think they know, or they think, well, he was on steroids. he never failed a test and got suspended.
That is crazy.
Anyway, good to hear baseball talk.
I appreciate you, Mike. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, that was our first 20 minutes, and the next hour and 40 or so will probably be NFL preseason. I mean, it was definitely one of my favorite stories this weekend because I just love it when houses of cards start kind of crumbling. It's such a fun thing to see. It's like when a train crashes. It's not like you're cheering for it, but you are gonna watch. You're gonna watch, and you're gonna be like, it's like when dudes, you throw a rock off a bridge and it hits the water. You're like, nice. Like, that's the kind of things I like, So when the Padres season is collapsing underneath them, it's not there yet. I mean, I think the last time I checked, they were 12 games over 500, but it's definitely a massive hit for any postseason playoff hopes you have. One of my favorite memes from this whole thing was there was a picture of a hexagon. It was like hexagon. Picture of another shape. It was like a hexagon, pentagon, and then it had the Padres logo afterwards, and it just said season gone. That was my favorite meme from this whole thing. We got to get to a break. We're about to get into all the storylines of NFL preseason. I mean, there's now an overabundance of stories, but that's gonna wrap up our baseball talk. So, Mike, I hope you had fun. I'm done with it. We're gonna start talking about Zach Wilson, his ACL. We're gonna talk about Deshaun Watson. We're gonna talk about Steelers. One of my most interesting storylines. We had Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett duking it out, and even maybe a little bit of Seahawks and Drew Logs. This is Nashville Sports Radio. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. It's pretty heavy out here on 24 now as you head out towards Murfreesboro. We've seen a series of wrecks out through there earlier on 24 going eastbound. Again, it's just so heavy trying to get past Briley Parkway. Again, continuing out towards Rutherford County. Watch your speed, not only through Rutherford County this afternoon, but north of town, up through sections of Robertson County. Lots of radar up through there for some reason this afternoon. Hey, with a huge demand for dental assistants, Dental Staff School can train you, help you get a job as a dental assistant. Google Dental Staff School. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Woo! It's a scorcher out there, but we've got tips that'll keep you chilling this August. Tip number 1, keep your AC in peak condition. Tip number 2, drink lots of fluids. Tip number 3, go for refreshing top prizes up to a cool $1 million by playing all new August Instant Games from the Tennessee Lottery. All of these exhilarating games can lead to cold, hard cash. So head to the shade of your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer and enjoy some game-changing fun today.
Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Please play responsibly.
From scholarship and grant programs to providing students with the qualifications and certifications they need to start their professional careers, the Tennessee Lottery has awarded more than $6.5 billion in funding to education programs, and we're proud to play our part. See for yourself how all of the fun of the Tennessee Lottery goes to supporting someone's future and a brighter tomorrow at tnlottery.com.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Grainger is with you and all the ones who get it done, with 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Greg Pogue back once again to tell you about Bongo Java, Nashville's oldest and most celebrated coffee company, now also located in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Award yourself for surviving Nashville traffic with fresh, locally roasted coffee, classic handcrafted espresso drinks, and fresh baked goods all day long. And free Wi-Fi, so you don't have to work from home. Number 1 in customer service. You made it through the traffic. Award yourself with a perfect pick-me-up at Bongo Java. Fresh coffee, delicious treats, great atmosphere. Open 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. daily. Bongo Java at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
By-State Forecast.
Your exclusive National Sports Radio, WNSR Skyscan Forecast. This afternoon is going to be mostly sunny, high 86. Mainly clear tonight, low 62. Saturday, sunny, high 88. Sunny Sunday, high 92. Partly sunny, a straight thunderstorm Monday. Utilizing the resources of the WeatherBug Network on National Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's meteorologist, Jim Renaud.
Sports Radio, WNSR.
The show that makes you thankful for Braves games. The Afternoon Stretch with Zach and Bruno and Ray.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Stretch. Bruno, Reagan, Ray Dosky, Zach Williams, out getting a gastric bypass surgery right now. We'll hope for a speedy recovery. You know, I think, yeah, me and Zach did this thing where we tested our body fats, and I was 10% less body fat than him. So he just had to go. Yeah, he just had to go grab a quick surgery so he could try and get to my level.
And he's dieting and all that, eating right, and you're just like, whatever.
The thing is me, I'm doing the same thing too. I've gone from like 360, mid 360ish to like I'm about 50s, mid 350s right now, and I don't diet, but I just watch calories. So what I do, Ray, is I'll just eat liquids until the afternoon, like consume liquids, like a Starbucks mocha will be like 400, 500 calories.
Right.
That carries me to training, and then I'll have solid food like 7 or 8 at night. So I don't know how sustainable it is, but I do know it works. So that's my path to it.
There you go.
Coffee and Chipotle burritos and Panda Express, basically. So free shout out to those companies. No free shout outs though. Zach Wilson suffers a bone bruise. Now he goes down. What is everyone saying? That's the best thing about sports Twitter is half of it fake news, right? It's trying to sort out what's real and what's not. And a lot of verified accounts get burned in the process. Zach Wilson goes down and everyone's like, oh my God, torn ACL, it's over. Jets are a cursed franchise, woe is me. But the craziest thing was when Zach Wilson was in, everyone was calling for his head anyways. They were watching the first week of preseason drives and they're like, get this guy off my telly now. You know, that's what people were saying about Zach Wilson. I have a lot of Jets fans. For whatever reason, there are a lot of Jets fans in my network. And I didn't see one positive thing said about anything that was going on that preseason game. I wasn't watching because I don't watch Jets preseason. I'd rather drink cyanide. But apparently it wasn't going well. Then Zach Wilson goes down. So this guy that everyone is universally like, we need to move on. This guy's not it. Blah, blah, blah. He goes down. They're like, no, our season. You know, how quickly people turn. But my favorite take by far was from a friend of mine. So shout out Ian Pfeiffer, who has been on the show before. He said, oh no, I took the Jets under win total, which I think is 5 or 6 wins this season. And Joe Flacco's coming in. They're going over now. How is Joe Flacco an upgrade from Zach Wilson? I think there's going to be an interesting dynamic because Zach Wilson didn't tear his ACL. All of his ligaments are intact. There might be a little minor damage. I don't know how accurate the reporting is on that, but you can fight through a little minor damage. I tore my MCL, grade 2, so not fully. And I also had the bone bruise. So I can understand what Zach Wilson's going to be going through. But without the torn ligament, you can get bone bruise is virtually just pain and swelling. He'll be back after 2 to 3 weeks. But will they want him back? That's the big thing. Joe Flacco, is this the return of Joe Flacco? The return to opt in for he's putting in the case for his Hall of Fame career after being a backup for the Jets behind Boy Wonder, behind the MILF Slayer.
It's so crazy how they always go for a player that's either the savior or the curse.
Dude.
You know?
Is Joe Flacco, are people thinking Joe Flacco is the savior, the same thing as Malik Willis being the savior? At least Joe Flacco's been there at a high level. You know, the Titans fans, I'm trying to compare it to the Titans situation.
So
Titans fans that are calling for Malik Willis because he faked out entirely on a play and beat the defense to a pylon that had bad contain. It's not even comparable. So 2 to 4 weeks is Zach Wilson's expectations.
He's questionable for game 1, but he's not out for the entire season.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the fans started to jump on that a little bit, like, oh, he's out for the year. I'm like, no, he just has a bone bruise. They've already told you 2 to 4 weeks. They're going to continue to evaluate him, make sure that he comes along fine. Thankfully, it happened now than as opposed to the regular season. But hey, that's what happens with teams, right?
Well, Jets, I think the Jets are a cursed franchise because they have their starting left tackle.
That was a huge one.
That was a huge one. Mekhi Becton went down ACL, or I don't know if it was ACL or if it was something. Long story short, he had an extremely serious knee injury.
Yeah.
It's season ending. Now they did grab an upgrade in free agency.
Dwayne Brown.
Yes. A lot of people are saying
Seahawks, and he was there for that preseason game, watching the game, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you're signing with us," because I think they knew that left tackle had a more serious injury than they thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Zach Wilson is straight up. I don't know if are the Jets the new Browns? That's what I'm asking. Is this no matter who you are as a quarterback, your career will go here to die? Unless you're Mike White. Mike White's low-key a sleeper in terms of fantasy because he's
really
He's a bench sleeper. He's not at all like I'm talking like waiver. Like don't draft this guy, but
he's a weekly pickup.
Yes,
do the matchup
because this dude for what he's one of these weeks. If you're the underdog going into a fantasy week and you're already projected to lose, throw in a Mike White and he might put up 500 yards on somebody.
So do you pick him up in a 2 quarterback league? Just have him on your bench, just
Yes,
waiting, waiting to sit there.
I would. That's how you sneak wins when you don't.
You low key love the Jets at times.
I know.
You bring positivity to that team.
Even
last year,
I'm a fan. Yeah, last year I called them beating. I didn't call any Jets wins other than them defeating the Titans. All right. We have Nick Gilbert on Twitter. Joe Flacco will give the Jets a winning season. He's calling 9-8. I don't know if I'm ready to go that far yet. I did put the Jets. I believe they were number 1 on my list of going to be most improved teams.
You did. I think you had them at number 1. Yeah, I believe.
Did I even put? I think they were number 1.
Yeah.
I don't even think I put the Lions on that list. Which
you did not. They were an honorable mention.
Which I'm really behind right now. I think they're going to have the Hard Knocks curse following them. I think they're going to be trash team that couldn't figure it out, and then they have all this hype around them at Hard Knocks. And you know who's watching Hard Knocks the most?
Me.
Well,
people like me.
Everyone is watching Hard Knocks. The Lions players are watching Hard Knocks, and they're going to eat all that up. We're the underdogs. We're going to come out. Yep. Everyone loves us. We're America teams this year. I think that's why coaches don't want Hard Knocks at their program.
So do you want to redo your most improved teams before the season?
Behind it.
You're still good?
Still behind it.
You don't want to change anything?
I think Joe Flacco is an upgrade. I think the Jets are inadvertently. This is some.
So you're not fading him at all. You're not fading the Jets.
This is some conspiracy level stuff got going on. Like maybe a sniper with a silencer took out Zach Wilson's knee. They're like, we know this kid isn't. He just isn't it. But we do have 2 guys who can play behind him, so might as well. Take him out.
I love the fact that you're not fading the Jets and you're staying put with your rankings. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm the type of guy, I'll die on the sword.
No, yes, you will. Yes.
I'll die on the company
you are that
sword.
person.
I'll die on my pride.
Yep.
I'll die on my ego, which is why I'm in radio. Yeah. It's all a perfect mix.
That is you, Bruno, to a T, buddy. Yep. That is you, man.
So that's the story with the Jets and Zach Wilson. I think a lot of people are actually more optimistic. I wish I had the win totals. I wish I had the win total stat. Something I should have looked up. The win total stat before Zach Wilson injury and after Zach Wilson injury, because it unironically might have gone up. Even if it was just half a game, it might have gone up. I mean, the Jets need improvement. They need just a little bit of improvement. That's what I would call a successful season for them. They're the same thing with the Lions. These are not playoff or bust teams. These are teams that, like what the Jets did last year when they took out the Titans, they need to take out 1 or 2 big teams, and not the way the Jags took out the Bills last year in a 9-7. They need to compete toe to toe with teams, kind of like how the Jets were doing last year with the Bucs later down the stretch. Now the Bucs were kind of coasting, but they just need to show that they can compete on a week to week basis, and then the next season start making that playoff push.
They're still at under 5.5. Before the injury was a plus 130 odds, and now that after the injury they're a plus 5.5 at plus 100.
So it went better. It went towards the Jets' favor, or it went towards
that is what they're looking at after the injury.
So Zach Wilson gets injured, and it goes like the odds go better towards the under. Yes. Excuse me, or the over. That's crazy. Your starting quarterback gets hurt, and you get 30 points added to your win total for the season. That there's not an NFL team that should have that kind of issue. But that's the Jets. I think the Jets easily take the cake for early NFL preseason stories because of how cursed that team is. Whether you like it or not, I mean, if you're a head coach for this team, you have to just be losing your hair. Because whether it's good or not for the team that, a guy gets hurt, it's never good for that guy gets hurt. But whether you think it's a good thing that he got hurt so that Joe Flacco can take the reins and this was the only way, because there's that sort of pressure. You don't want to give up on Zach Wilson too early because he was your first round guy, right? Was there anybody in this country that looked at Zach Wilson and was like, that's an NFL franchise quarterback? He was a gritty kid in college. That BYU team was solid. They had that war with Coastal Carolina when they hopped on a plane and flew out and they organized that game in 2 days. They had the attitude, right? But does that mean you're an NFL prospect? It's still to be seen. I wasn't behind Zach Wilson. I also wasn't behind Mac Jones, and he seems to be doing okay, although the Patriots are getting a lot of flack too. But that's more on Bill Belichick's side. I can't wait to get into that. I'm trying to keep this whole first segment Jets, and then we'll go into the other storylines. But have you seen what the Patriots are doing with their team right now in terms of their staff, their football staff?
It's a cocktail of stuff.
They don't have They don't have coordinators. They don't have coordinators, and Bill Belichick is the ultimate nepotist, I guess you would say, someone who commits nepotism. He's got 2 sons on the staff. Which I'm totally like, for people that are against nepotism, that's just unrealistic, right? If I got kids and I know they're good at the job, they're getting it over you. Like I totally get why nepotism is the thing. I know it doesn't sit well, but when you're Bill Belichick, that's what he's spending his Bill Bucks on. You know, Bill Bucks, when you've accumulated a Hall of Fame career, you get to do things that are out of the norm.
You can cash those in.
He cashed in his Bill Bucks on nepotism. But Bill, you haven't cashed your Bill Bucks in on not having coordinators. It looked like he had some play callers out there, so they're basically, I don't know how that works in their contracts. Whereas, you're a position coach and an assistant, so you get paid this, but you're not a coordinator, so you're not going to get paid this. But you're still going to call the plays, right? And the best thing about Bill Belichick is these are valid questions. Bill gets asked a lot of silly questions to where he warrants the Belichick response, right? Where he's like, we're just focused on this. We're just focused on this week. We're just focused on this.
That's him.
Now, Bill, you got to answer for what you're doing in New England right now. What is that?
It's just crazy because what was the year that Matt Patricia took the Lions job? They said, we're not going to have a defensive coordinator. This year, Josh McDaniels, now he's a Las Vegas coach.
Yeah.
What happens there? Now it's a cocktail between himself, Matt Patricia, who's now back with
rebound. Yeah, he's a rebound girl.
And a defensive coach in mind. And you have Joe Judge also back after getting canned in New York. It's your special teams guys. You got 2 defensive coordinators and a special teamer calling the offensive plays. And now there's reports coming out of New England where they've not looked as great as the years past. Well, guess what? Of course not. Josh McDaniels is not there.
Josh McDaniels isn't there. Tom Brady isn't there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Are you starting to fade offensive players on New England now?
I've been fading
the
New
team?
England this entire preseason from the jump.
Do they finish 4th? Do the Jets overtake them with now that Joe Flacco?
If the Jets don't finish last in their division, that is a massive Jets W. So what's the bigger question mark? Is it New England or the Dolphins on paper? I've been talking a lot of trash about Tua. Throw rocks at me, whatever you want. I've been a Tua. I was a Tua hater before it was cool.
There's many of them out there. You're not alone. You're in good company.
Alone,
yes.
But I was saying this stuff last year. I was like, Tua can't play. And before he had Tyreek Hill, before he had Mike McDaniel, I was a Tua hater before all that, right? So I was an OG Tua
even when he
hater.
won 7 straight games. You were still a hater.
There is no reason the Dolphins should finish anywhere below 2nd in that division. No reason. I think Mac Jones he's already in the Pro Bowl in his young career. That's not something to scoff at. But the Patriots have gotten away with average players having a strict, no-nonsense, sword-to-the-throat culture. And I think they got away with it so long because Tom Brady was carrying the load. Now, I think it's starting to unravel. You bring in a guy like Mac Jones who's not even good. He's a great player. I don't think he can have, it's a lot to ask for to carry an entire team. I think Bill Belichick had a lot of antics before, you get the from the divorce thing. I think Tom Brady was and you seen we
saw the clip of Ryan Athlete with Asante Samuel.
He was like, Tom, the reason I need this dumb, they were very critical.
Brady.
Yeah, they were very critical of the quote unquote Patriot way.
Most of them were like, there's no Patriot way. They didn't want us to come to that.
There isn't a Patriot way. It's the Patriot way is Bill Belichick just doing whatever he wants and expecting a non-response. He's a dictator. He's a tyrant. And you know what they did to Julius Caesar? They all stabbed him in the back when they all got sick of it. I think Bill Belichick is going to get thrown to the wolves real soon. He's going to get exposed. New England fans aren't going to know how to react, and they're going to throw this guy into the middle of the Senate. And and take them out.
Bruno, I'm loving where this conversation goes, but I want to know, how would you rank the division now? Where do you see him sitting? Come January, where does this division look like?
Bills are number one, which...
And we haven't seen one game in the NFL. We've seen a preseason game, which is nothing. But
the national media collectively crowning the Bills the best team in the AFC is silly to me because how uniformed it is. Because the NFL is just such a high level thing. You know, I have no doubt the Bills are going to be a great team. But so much can happen between now and the season starts. And so much can happen between the season and the end of the season. So to just pencil in the Bills as number one, I get it. I'm doing it too. But I'm not calling them the best team in the NFL and they're a surefire Super Bowl team. You know, you got to earn that every single year. They're number one in that division. I hate to do it. Dolphins are number two.
It's like salt on the wound.
Jets, please, Joe Flacco, dethrone these frauds. They're not frauds. They got great. I mean, imagine you have two players in the top 100. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The NFL top 100 just came out.
Legion of Zoom.
Yes.
Legion of Zoom. I just gave him that title over the weekend.
If Tua can't win with these guys, you might as well put to, you know how in those movies when it was like, if you're in the cold or in the north, one of the punishments for crimes where they would put him on ice, cut off the ice and just set him a sail. They should do that with Tua into the Gulf of Mexico if he can't win this season. With a new coach, the Legion of Zoom. Yep. I mean, he's got great running back, tight end. He's got it all.
We've heard this story before, though. We've read this book before, right? We watched this movie. We've seen it last year with the Titans. The year before that was Baker Mayfield when he had OBJ and Jarvis Landry.
Average quarterbacks with amazing teams and then finishing short.
We've seen this before, right? So
hey, if the Dolphins make the playoffs, that's a win for them. If the Dolphins make the playoffs, Tua did his job this season. They barely missed it. They improved, and you're still gonna have these guys coming in next season. Okay. That's my goal for them. They don't have to win the Super Bowl. A lot of people are going to see that roster and be like, if they don't win the Super Bowl, you know how hard winning the Super Bowl is, so I'm not putting that on them. We're going to get into a ton more NFL talk. I mean, there's so many storylines I still want to get into. I don't know. I don't think we'll be able to cover them all before Zach gets back and ruins the fun. But
he does ruin the fun.
Yeah, I know. Stay tuned. You're on Nashville Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. We see that heavy traffic making its way north of the city on 65 up into Goodlettsville. It's a steady flow of traffic that continues through Mount Juliet this afternoon through Wilson County on I-40. It's looking pretty good out through there. Just watch your speed. Hey, Ripley's is hiring for all 10 attractions, offering great pay and perks. You can even apply online at ripleys.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The IRS, the world's most aggressive collection agency. They can seize your property, bank account, and garnish your wages. They cause sleepless nights for millions of Americans. Don't be one of them. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, get protected today. Call 800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
Whether it's getting your day started with a clear mind, taking the edge off after a busy day, or hitting the reset button at night, Cure helps us be our most productive selves. Completely organic and free of THC, pesticides, and heavy metals, Cure focuses on specific need states with great-tasting CBD products designed to help you focus, chill, and sleep. And that is exactly what the Cure brand products are named. Focus, chill, and sleep. Now available at select MAPCO locations. Visit thecurebrand.com to learn more and follow them on social media.
This is the Greg Pogue and John Burton Show.
Ted Lane's with us. I hate to keep bringing up Love Boat questions, but I have so many. Go. So, did you actually know how to bartend before you got the part of Isaac on the Love Boat?
I didn't know anything. You can see that I'm sticking umbrellas into blended drinks.
Greg Pogue and News Channel 5's John Burton, WNSR. Nashville Sports Radio.
Sports Radio, WNSR.
The Afternoon Stretch. It's a radio show.
It is a radio show. It's a radio show hosted by the youngest. And that's really the only merit I got to my name right now.
Are you the youngest? I think Patton's got you beat.
I don't count him.
Okay.
If it doesn't fit my narrative, it doesn't count.
Okay.
All right.
Patton, you do not exist, Patton.
And listen, I'm not the only Vanderbilt graduate in the Nashville airwaves, but I remember I would always say I'm the Vandy guy on the airwaves, and people would constantly tag the other guy, and they'd be like, "You're not," and I'm like, "Please stop using facts. That hurts my feelings.
Yeah,
that hurts my feelings. It hurts my feelings just as much as Jimmy G hurt the feelings of the San Francisco 49ers staff." Have you seen this story, Ray? I know you've seen this story. Jimmy G?
Tell the listeners, because they probably haven't heard it, but yes, I believe I have.
So, typically when there's trade talks going on, stuff gets leaked. Stuff gets leaked to help sell, help undersell, whatever it is. Stories will get leaked. It is what it is, and there's always an angle to it. It always has a... I don't know what the point of this story getting leaked was, but when Jimmy G got his contract from the Niners, this was at the same time the Players Association got a better offseason deal for the NFL players.
Okay.
So what does Jimmy G do as the franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers? When it's the offseason, it doesn't matter if it's the offseason. You're the franchise quarterback. You're getting paid like it. You're expected to work all the time, keep updated with the team, keep updated with the plays, you're supposed to be proactive. So what does Jimmy G do? Nothing. He goes ghost. Where I wonder when exactly he got his contract. It must have been around October, and he was just he was cosplaying, or he was just basically emulating a ghost. Ooh. People would try and call him George Kittle. I even found a good clip where George Kittle's like, Jimmy G is the worst person when it comes to communication. You'll text him, you'll call him, you'll ask him stuff. He never answers. That's just the type of dude he is. Now, if you're the Niners,
and this is a quarterback we're talking.
This is
a quarterback.
Not a quarterback. This is the quarterback. I saw a report last week that the Browns would consider Jimmy G after all the Deshaun Watson stuff. First of all, it was from a local reporter, which I instantly, if it's not Rappaport or Chef, no local person knows what those guys know.
Just wait. You're just like, dismiss them. Dismiss it.
That's just the way this business works. I mean, every now and then you'll get a real drop, but the tweet was open-ended so that it technically wasn't a for sure statement. The person who tweeted it wasn't like, they will contact Jimmy Garoppolo. She was like, they might have some interest, and it blew up, and everyone's like, Jimmy G to the Browns, Jimmy G to the Browns. Jimmy G is, the Browns currently have...
That was a cap statement right there. That's as cap as it gets.
It was as cap as it gets. It was a shameless radio news, local news person move. The Browns are not, they're going to go with Jacoby Brissett until... that's their guy, and he's been practicing. Why bring in a Jimmy G? Is he really that much better? I don't know who leaks this story about Jimmy G going ghost. Because it's obviously not a good look on Jimmy G. And I'm going to keep the same energy, because if this was Kyler, this is what I will give Kyler Murray this. When Patrick Mahomes said Kyler and Lamar and himself get judged, throw Patrick Mahomes out. He doesn't count. But Lamar and Kyler do get judged differently. If there was Lamar or Kyler going ghost on the entire franchise after signing their big contract, we would rip them to shreds. I think in that sense, Patrick Mahomes did have, because I was thinking about my own internal biases. I was like, I would rip Kyler Murray for doing it. So I got to rip Jimmy G for doing it. If you want to get on and rip Jimmy G, call into the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. But this guy, Jimmy G has sort of rode the coattails of great teams. He rode the coattails of the Patriots and Tom Brady. And when Tom Brady retired, he was the active player with the most Super Bowl victories of all time without, the only time he ever got those snaps were the Deflategate Tom Brady series. So he's, Jimmy G. And if I looked like Jimmy G, I wouldn't text any of you back. I wouldn't text any of you back either. It's hard to look like that and be responsible with your power.
He's a prototypical look in terms of a quarterback, right?
Jimmy G should just go do movies.
Yeah.
His place isn't football. He's too pretty.
He's the guy, right? He's it, And so, yeah,
he's the man. Yeah. And he acted like he was the man. But when you at the end of the day, it always catches up with you, Ray. You reap what you sow in this world. And Jimmy G
dropping facts here.
Jimmy G has led the Niners to beating the NFL MVP multiple times. Jimmy G and the Niners are part of the reason that meme exists for Aaron Rodgers falling in. I mean, they've gone to the Super Bowl. They've gotten super close to winning it all. Jimmy G, for all extensive purposes, should be a highly touted free agent. But he's not. And there are reasons he's not. And now it's starting to unravel. You know how embarrassing it must be to be Jimmy G, and there's this young cat that, first of all, the GM, there's something about the 49ers front office staff, football staff. There's something about them talking trash about their players open publicly to the media, because they're the only team that I feel like really does that. So they
don't consider anything called in-house.
They're
just like whatever.
Were constantly talking trash about Trey Lance. They were constantly talking trash about Brandon Ayuk. And to see now all of a sudden you're Jimmy G and you're like, this kid takes your spot the next year, and you're like, who wants me? Nobody. Not even the Seahawks. The Seahawks, Drew Lock's out there slinging in the preseason. Everyone's like, oh, Drew Lock.
There was some interest there.
There was interest there, but there
faded.
wasn't. For the Seahawks, Jimmy G, I think this is a come down to reality moment for Jimmy G. Not one man can have all that power forever. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Jimmy G was the man. He was leading the 49ers, these crazy things. He's got the looks. Now all of a sudden, your career might be over. Because what happens if he doesn't get traded? Are they going to cut him?
They're going to cut him, and I think that they've been trying to hold him as long as they can because they think that Seattle knows that, and that probably what might pique their interest. But I don't think they're in play for him. You know who the team I think is going to be in play for him? The Dolphins.
Yeah, as a backup role?
Yeah. I mean, unless he's okay with it going, if he doesn't want to be a starter, he wants to be a backup.
He's going to have to get used to not being a starter.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. But you just made fun of it, too. Like, he's not a great quarterback. He might fumble that himself, the starting opposite. You know, he might throw that whole starting quarterback by himself. Yeah. Then what's going to happen? You got Mike McDaniel, who knows Jimmy G, knows the offense that he wants to run. He has the talent there. You talk about the looks. There. Can you even tell me a better city that this guy could fit in than Miami? Can you imagine Jimmy G in South Beach? That's it.
You think if Jimmy G's going ghost on you in San Francisco, this guy is going to not even show up to practice.
If he's in South Beach.
He's going to show up. He's going to pull Jeremy Shockey. He's going to have vendors right before the game and then show up to the stadium after everyone called and texted him a million times. He's going to be like, guys, I'm here, let's play. You know.
He belongs in South Beach. I would love to see him in South Beach.
You know what? Jimmy G belongs on the cover of magazines because he's not going to be a quarterback. It's weird. As someone who owns Jimmy G in a dynasty fantasy league, the second Zach Wilson goes down, you know who starts reaching out to me? Everybody. They're like, give me Jimmy G. He's going to be on the Jets. He's going to be a productive player.
That's a good another place for him too.
I mean, if they really want, but then you got Joe Flacco. You got
Okay, are you taking Joe Flacco? See, here's the thing. That's a great argument. Joe Flacco or Jimmy G? Yes, Jimmy G's won the most Super Bowls.
Do you want to eat rocks or do you want to eat dirt?
Yes.
Which one do you want to eat?
I mean,
that's where we're
how
at
would
right
you
now.
rank them? Was it Flacco 1?
Titans fans, you think you got it bad? This is what Jets fans are talking about right now. Who do you want, Joe Flacco or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Would you take him over Jimmy G?
I would leave Joe Flacco in there because he's been with he's part of that culture. He's been there with years. He knows the system. I would just ride with Joe Flacco and see where it goes.
He has won a Super Bowl. Like, he has won a Super Bowl.
And with these recent leaks, it's obvious that Jimmy G isn't a leader. It's not like he's going to go out of his way to uplift the Jets. All right, guys, that's probably the most negative we'll get on the show this week. We got to run to another break, but we're going to get into more of these. We're not even into my favorite parts. I'm leaving my favorite storyline, which is personally, we're going to talk about that in the second hour, which is the Steelers. I love what they got going on right now. Big fan of that program. So keep on listening. We're going to get into it here on National Sports Radio.
Good afternoon. The police busy with a couple of accidents. Here's what we see: that heavy traffic trying to get out of downtown I-40 there, Broadway to Mumbrium. Still not bad as far as accidents as you head out towards Murfreesboro, Rutherford County on 24. That's going to be heavy, of course, to get out past Bell Road before it picks up to a decent interstate speed. Ripley's is hiring for all 10 attractions, offering great pay. Check it out online at ripleys.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The Final Lap NASCAR Cup Series race recap from Richmond. I'm Kerry Murphy, and we're going to run things down 10-1. Ryan Blaney, then you got Kyle Busch recovering after spinning into the inside wall at number 9. Eric Almirola, Martin Truex Jr., number 7. Joey Logano led 222 of the 400 laps. Couldn't seal the deal, though, at number 6. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher at number 3 was charging hard in the closing laps, couldn't get it done, and Christopher Bell whizzed by him with fresher tires. To victory lane, Kevin Harvick goes back-to-back for his second win of the season and 60th career win.
We didn't make any mistakes and were able to survive those green flag pit stops and maintain with the 20. I think when we were, or the 22, when we were able to get on the outside of Joey and kind of wore him down, it took a while to wear him down that last run there when we got by him. So that was really the key was getting control of the race and being able to, run the lap times and be the leader and kind of finally get to the point was just good enough. The 20 was obviously coming at the end, but I think getting around the 22 car was the key, and coming out in front of that last green flag pit stop, we didn't have to waste any time, and ultimately we needed every lap to make as much pace as we could to stay in front of the 20.
Up next for the Cup Series is road course action from the Bad Fast Watkins Glen, where Kyle Larson is your defending race winner. Check it out this weekend. This is the final lap.
Asthma symptoms can attack anywhere, like on a city street. Now you can get fast relief anywhere with new improved Primatene Mist, the only FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. So whether you need relief of symptoms at the park or at your kitchen table, Primatene Mist starts working quickly, opening up your airways to restore free breathing. For temporary relief of mild symptoms of intermittent asthma, use Primatene Mist and breathe easy again. Available at CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. Use as directed.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward with all your school printing from Staples.
Okay, class, refer to the seating chart for your desk assignment. Class?
But we can't read yet.
Don't worry, they'll get there. Now get 30% off school-related prints when you spend $25 or more. This year, go forward to school with Staples. In-store only, exclusions apply. One coupon per customer ends 8/27. Visit staples.com/school-printing for coupon and requirements.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
The afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and some dude named after a 1940s cartoon baby who was in reality a gangster on the run from the police.
All right, Bruno Reagan, Ray Dosky, holding down the fort. Listen, that one, I think it's awesome, but I can see how every time I hear that little come in, it gets a little longer and longer and longer, so eventually we'll probably have to get rid of that one. But closing out the first hour, and what a first hour it was. A whole 20 minutes of baseball talk led by yours truly, Bruno Reagan. And then talking about some of the more entry-level NFL preseason storylines. We're going to get into the meat and bones here in the second hour. One thing I do want to address is Deshaun Watson did come out, play. Jets fans did give him a little trash talk that was a little over the edge. I don't know. Did you see what they were chanting at Deshaun Watson?
I probably a few things.
Yeah, it was.
It was
pretty,
few choice words.
It was pretty bad. But Deshaun Watson, there's been statements from the team, the owner, his lawyer. He's remorseful. He's not. He says he hasn't done anything wrong. He's remorseful. He's not. Deshaun Watson finally comes out and says himself and is remorseful. And there's been nobody more critical of Deshaun Watson than myself. But at the end of the day, I know eventually the story will blow over. He's going to have to live with it forever. There's always going to be Deshaun Watson memes about this. Yeah. There's always going to be criticism about him. But at the end of the day, he's going to go out there, play football, and we're going to cover it. And I think it's about time for us to move on from this story, I guess. Because he's going to play. He's going to play. We're going to cover it. He's obviously remorseful, which props to him. I'm sure he wants to move on from this thing too. So whether the apology is genuine or not, it's what we have and it's what we're going with. And
there's some that are out there, and there are others going to wait until another year until a suspension happens of some sort. Whether he was found guilty or not, that's I think for a lot of fans.
So whether this story is kind of reaching its climax, I'm pretty over it. He's finally come out himself and was remorseful. So I'll let it die on that. When it comes to me hosting the show, I'm tired of talking about Deshaun Watson, so it is what it is. But we're going to get into some fun stories here into the second hour. NFL football is finally back, and we got you covered here on National Sports Radio.
On air and online, Sports Radio WNSR, Brentwood, Nashville.
ABC News. I'm Derek Dennis. The Justice Department's unsealed charges against a Pennsylvania man accused of leveling multiple threats against the FBI in the days after agents searched former President Trump's Florida home. Prosecutors say they received a tip about Adam B's alleged actions on the Gab social media site. There are more questions over the documents Mr. Trump took to Florida.
Did he ever inform the FBI when agents arrived at Mar-a-Lago on 2 separate occasions in the spring seeking these documents? It doesn't seem like there's been evidence of that. And beyond classification status, we know that he could still be charged under the Espionage Act anyway, just for removing the documents from Washington.
ABC's Aaron Katursky. The State Department declines to comment directly on the second congressional delegation's visit to Taiwan in less than 2 weeks.
Congressional delegations have gone to Taiwan for decades, and they will continue to do so.
Spokesman Ned Price. This is ABC News.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
5X480, Dayton B100 B-Belt, one of the many parts Grainger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job was on hold, deadline fast approaching, but a quick search on Grainger.com and Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done, safely and on time. Get supplies and solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Braves fan, it's time for baseball, and that means it's time to cheer on the World Series defending champions, the Atlanta Braves, in the 2022 season. Attorney Klein Preston of the Klein Preston Law Group wants you to join him in cheering on the World Series defending champions, the Atlanta Braves, for the start of the 2022 season. Here's to another amazing season for Braves country here on your home for the Atlanta Braves. Nashville Sports Radio.
Dry rub wings are back at Slim Chickens. Fresh, fried, and full of flavor. Like smooth and kickin' cayenne ranch, zesty lemon pepper, or turn it up with new spicy Nashville hot. Try them today with a meal or feed your hungry crowd. But hurry, they're only back for a limited time. At Slim's, bold flavor is what we do. Download the Slim Chickens app to order and earn rewards.
The push for the postseason is on, and the Braves are battling it out as the hottest division in baseball comes down to the wire.
There's a liner out towards center field. It will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
Tonight, the battle for the East takes center stage at Truist Park in Atlanta as Austin Riley and the Braves take on division rivals, the New York Mets.
Coverage begins this afternoon at 6:05 on your home for the Atlanta Braves. Nashville Sports Radio.
Okay, it's happening.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Everybody stay calm. Stay calm.
Let's take some calls from the public, shall we?
Join the afternoon stretch now on the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. Now here's Bruno and Zach.
Bruno and Zach, but minus the Zach. Add a little, sprinkle it a little Ray Dosky. That's what you got today. Second hour, the afternoon stretch, Monday. We talked some baseball. First 20 minutes of the first hour. Then we started getting to, the Jets, the Jimmy G situation. Even mentioned a little bit of Sean Watson, kind of putting, an end to that from my end. But we're going to start getting into the meat of the preseason, which is the quarterback competitions. I think you have Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold battling it out as much as Sam Darnold can. You go out and make a move for a guy like Baker Mayfield. You expect that guy to be the quarterback. But there is still technically a quarterback competition going in. You got Drew Lock and the Seahawks. Drew Lock's looking like he's the favorite. And the favorite for the Steelers looks to be Mitch Trubisky. He came out as a starter in his preseason game. But the thing was with the Steelers, I don't know if you saw the Steelers preseason game, Ray, but they all played pretty well. In typical Steelers fashion, as a team that hasn't had, which is one of the craziest things, one of the craziest stats I'll always hammer home is that they haven't had a losing season in, well over a decade. They're almost going into their second one. This is a team that just finds a way to win. They go out, they get a free agent like Mitch Trubisky, who was a backup for the Bills, and Mitch Trubisky looks like he does well. He throws some pretty balls, makes some athletic plays, and for what it's worth, Pittsburgh did win the game against Seattle. Now, it's just a preseason game, obviously, but when you have all your quarterbacks, even Mason Rudolph, your first-round draft pick, who Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback drafted in the first 2 rounds of that entire draft. When you have them do well, I'm sure it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because it kind of is, not to say they want Kenny Pickett to do bad, but there's going to be those calls for competition, quote-unquote competition. It looks like this is Mitch Trubisky's team to lose.
So let me ask you this. Who had a better performance? Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis? Then you could sprinkle Sam Howell on there if you want.
Sam Howell. I'm going to have you talk about some Washington coming up because, Washington did play in a preseason game against who we're going to talk about, Baker Mayfield.
But you look at Sam Pickett.
I saw a lot of people were like, Sam Howell, baby. Yeah. This is the guy. Because you stole him. Well, they're saying steal. That's the discourse they're using when it comes to Sam Howell. He was a 5th round, right?
He was a 5th rounder. Was supposed to be taken the late 1st round of this last year's draft or past draft. And great arm, great moxie. I love the whole fact that he ran 7 yards and did a pump fake. And I'm like, that still works?
Dude, that's the most gangster thing. Jameis Winston was king of that. Jameis Winston would fake pitches to the defense and tuck it and run. So anytime someone's going down the field and they're just trying to make a play, I'll give it to them. All right. What about? So we're on Washington right now. Let's just hop right into it. Antonio Gibson fumbling the ball. Is this guy ever going to be the guy that we all thought he was going to be?
All I know is that Brian Robinson Jr., who's come from where? Alabama. We all know that they produce running backs year in, year out, look like the guy. Antonio Gibson just seems like, I don't know what it is. He's lost some confidence. Like he's hesitant. Like he doesn't really trust the line. He doesn't wait for plays to open up. What does he do? Makes little mistakes like that. That was even last year. He had that great first season, and since then he's kind of just just downstream in terms of production. Brian Robinson came in there like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of run with it, and he did. Yeah. Same build. They're both 6'1", about 230. Showed toughness on that offensive line. I was loving it. I'm like, this is what we were wanting out of.
Because they pulled Antonio Gibson after the fumble, right? They pulled him.
Yeah.
And
then he started playing with the second stringers.
And Brian Robinson, he got all the reps of the first one. So it seemed like there was a legit competition there. Maybe
he was averaging almost 6-7 yards a carry.
Maybe the young cat, 3rd-round draft pick, stole it. Maybe
a sleeper fantasy. I don't know.
And we are allowed to talk fantasy. Zach isn't here, so we are.
So he might be a sleeper fantasy, but yeah, he definitely did what he needed to do. It was a great game because you had 2 new quarterbacks.
Yeah,
quarterbacks from 2, their new teams going against each other, and Baker Mayfield was able to make some effort, but now before it was not a quarterback. There was talks of maybe a quarterback battle here between the Carolina quarterbacks, but now it's like, okay, is it Sam Darnold, who actually threw for a touchdown, did pretty well, or is it Baker Mayfield, who's not starting about? Now, does Sam Darnold, who we all know Zach is in love with, kind of takes the edge against Baker now?
The only thing I have with, even if he does take the edge,
or does he have the edge?
Look at it from a Matt Rule perspective. If you're Matt Rule, you were, as the same way the Bills are the national media's consensus pick for number 1, Matt Rule was the national media's consensus for coach most on the hot seat. So if you're a coach on the hot seat, which I guess Sam Darnold was technically winning games before they got injured, but I feel like last year's House of Cards was going to unravel anyways. So Sam Darnold wins those games, gets injured, and then, the season plummets, as they say. But I don't know if you, as Matt Rule, can go out there with Sam Darnold with what you know after making a move like Baker Mayfield, naming Sam Darnold the starter, and then dying on that sword, right? So what happens? So because the worst thing that can happen is Sam Darnold goes out there week 1, looks bad, and then you have to throw in Baker Mayfield, and then there's just there's no. It's all drastic decisions based on, the severity of the situation. Because you don't get it right, you get fired. Your kids move. They got to change schools. Where's the money coming from? All that is something that has to be avoided. So I think you have to go with Baker Mayfield. You have to die on the move you made, right? Because if you go out on the Sam Darnold shield again, everyone's going to be like, what? What are you thinking? Why even make the move for Baker Mayfield? I think Baker. So what these guys show in the preseason, I think you have to start with Baker Mayfield. And if it's not going well, then Sam, move on to Sam. But I just don't get. I don't get being on the hot seat and then sticking with the status quo.
No, you're right. I mean, yeah, you make a trade for Baker Mayfield, but in terms of trade value, it's like they risk a lot of what they risk. $15 million a year?
From a franchise perspective, they didn't. It was nothing.
The risk was very low. It was like a fifth round. I think Matt Corral is worth more in terms of because they traded up to get him than what they got for Baker Mayfield. And let's not forget, Sam Darnold's going to make $18 million a year.
He's making a lot of money.
So you're paying that much for your supposed backup quarterback? That's just blasphemy. If you really think about it.
It is blasphemy. But you don't make a move for Baker Mayfield unless you're going to play him, right?
But can you say the whole argument that Sam Darnold was missing CMC for most of the games? I think he's played 10 games
absolutely
last year. Now who's going to possibly be in a
and you have Robbie
year?
Anderson who seems like a crazy person.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, DJ Moore. Carolina doesn't have excuses to not be at least a good team or a team that can stand up to it. So
you don't believe there's a quarterback competition in Carolina right now? You think it's Baker's spot to lose?
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy it.
Baker's a bigger name. I'll give him that. Baker's a bigger name than Sam Darnold. He's got that moxie. He's got that attractability.
And at the end of the day, the coaches see the practice, they watch the film, they'll make the decision they think is best for the Carolina Panthers. So I'll say this, if Sam Darnold is starting for the Carolina Panthers week 1, he must have earned it. He must have really earned it because he's battling. He's not battling quarterback on a talent level. He's battling Baker on the storyline level, which is Sam Darnold at Carolina hasn't worked out the way it has needed to. Whether that's in his control or not, it just hasn't. So you go out and make a move for a guy like Baker, that's gonna be. You're not gonna make a move for a guy, not play him, and then risk the season going bad, and then fired. Because that's how it really could go.
You think he'll have a short lease this year? Let's say that he goes out, he performs. They start the season 2-3-0, whatever, and he has one bad game. Is Sam Darnold all of a sudden in the hot seat?
No, you win 2 to 3 games. You can't pull it like that. I mean, if Sam Darnold goes into the season as the starter, the worst thing you can do is him have a bad week 1 and then immediately switch him out for Baker Mayfield. That's the worst thing you could do. You have to let him ride for a few games. If you're going to make that decision and rock with him early in the season,
right.
You're gonna have to just let it go. You're gonna have to die on your shield at that point. That's the decision you're making.
Do you think these coaches will be that patient to do that? That they could ride, even though let's say Sam Darnold has a bad week 1 and then week 2 they're like, all right, we're gonna quarterback change. Baker, you're up.
If I was,
or do they ride for Sam Darnold for 2 weeks?
If I was a quote unquote consultant or special assistant on that staff and they were like, what do we do? I would tell them just ride with it because at least you know what you're getting and you can scheme around that rather than constantly, all right, this week you're up, this week you're up. There's no way to build consistency and there's no way to build a team. That's just not a recipe for success, right? A constant change in leadership, the number one voice. Because, the earlier you can name a starter, better. Because as NFL teams aren't locked in the way college teams are around like a leader, a senior, a quote unquote, right? Unless you're lucky enough to have a guy like Tom Brady. He is like the lock that holds teams together. Mm-hmm. But a lot of teams don't have that guy. So if you can get that, it's invaluable, right? It's 100% invaluable. A guy the team can get behind, a guy the team knows, a guy the team, because the way quarterbacks throw the ball, the way Joe Flacco throws the ball, all the Jets receivers out in there in the media, they're saying he throws more receiver-friendly balls. Being outside of the defense's line. Now, when he says receiver friendly, that means they have to add extra effort to it. But at the same, it's different So the way Baker throws the ball and operates the offense is different from the way Sam Darnold operates. So you can't just, constantly switch back and forth. It's just not a recipe for success. Name a team that has done something like that, constant back and forth and has had success. It just doesn't happen. So you got to choose one.
Maybe the Saints back in the day when they had Drew Brees and Hill, when he would come and do those little run plays, but it was very
But Drew Brees was the quarterback and leader of that team. He was the heart and soul of that team, and everybody knew that.
But the change
we don't know who the Panthers don't have an identity. Yeah. And then they have this young cat who eventually, Matt Corral, who might take the reins in 2 to 3 years. So you have these you're putting all your chips in on $18 million a year rentals to save your job.
So let me ask you this. This is a segment I tried to do on my show yesterday. Run with it, by the way. I want to go teams through the entire the NFL. Who do you believe is the most important player on the Carolina Panthers in order for them to have a successful season this year?
Christian McCaffrey. Who do you say?
Doesn't matter.
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
100%.
Why?
If he's healthy, he's the best player on the team, and he's a game changer.
Okay.
You can get him the ball anywhere on the field. You can get him on the
doesn't matter who's at quarterback, right? So
No, it doesn't. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey was playing. Right. Your team is instantly that much better.
Right.
Yeah, he's the most important piece.
I was hoping you would go quarterback. I was going Christian McCaffrey. I always thought that because
I always preach quarterback's most important position unless Christian McCaffrey's on your team.
Because you got these two quarterbacks with such compelling stories, and that the Carolina's success is on the brinks of in their hands, if you will.
I don't care if I'm at quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. If I can throw a ball 5 yards to Christian McCaffrey on the back end, and he just has to beat the middle linebacker, and if he does that, he gets 11 yards. Yeah, I could play quarterback for Carolina. He's the one guy. But the problem is with injuries, you can't just say, "Oh, don't get injured." Yeah, well, of course he wants to be out there playing. Of course he wants to not be injured. But that's just been the consistent with him.
I believe that Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback this year. I think he has
he's getting paid like it. So
he doesn't get paid like it, but I think he just has the edge in terms of knowing the playbook, knowing this team. He showed that when he was playing with the second level stringers compared to what Baker was playing with the starters. Yeah, Baker moved the ball a little bit, but Darnold just knows this playbook. He knows the system a lot better, so I think he has the edge, and it's going to give time for Baker to catch up. And I think that even though that Sam Darnold's going to be the starting quarterback, that's a bold prediction by me. I'm not saying anything came out of Carolina, but I think that his leash is going to be very short. If he has one game that's bad or a game and a half, he is out of there. And all right, Baker, it's your time. And that might come as soon as week 3.
If the Carolina
That's just my guess.
If the Carolina Panthers rob us of Baker Mayfield week 1 revenge game against Cleveland Browns, I don't know what to say. As a fan experience, Baker Mayfield has to start week 1. Though.
I hope he does. I hope he does.
We need the revenge game.
Yeah.
We need it. That's must-watch television.
Yep.
Now you got me on the promoter side of it. He has to play week 1. So Sam Darnold plays week 1. I probably won't even watch that game.
Yeah, we've got 2 more preseason games to see what happens. Maybe Baker can kind of continue to do what he needs to do. Learn,
he did
get better, play each week. But
for what it's worth, Baker Mayfield earned the Panthers' highest grade on Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
Now, it's Pro Football Focus.
Yes.
Some people take it serious. Some people take it as an absolute total meme. He didn't have it was good by both. It was good by both. Not a lot of quarterback competitions were really decided this week. Drew Lock kind of got the edge for whatever it's worth in Seattle. Drew Lock kind of is the front runner. Reports out of camp are saying Drew Lock has been their best option so far. So he's
the better talent of the two between him and Geno Smith. He is that.
And I would always, if you have a situation like that with old vet kind of on his way out, and then a young guy who at least has some potential, I would always go with the young guy with potential, especially there's no expectation.
Hold on, you say young guy with potential? Would you take that young guy with potential if they brought a Jimmy G into the team? Or does Jimmy G get the starting
quarterback? If you make a move for Jimmy G, he's got to play. Okay. And plus, he's going to play against the 49ers, which Jimmy G seems to
Here's another promotion.
Revenge game. Yeah, I instantly go to my promoter mind. But I don't think Jimmy G is the type of guy that thinks revenge game. He's the type of guy that thinks, what club are we going to after the game?
He doesn't.
You know?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Whose DMs am I sliding into after the game?
Well, who's sliding in my DMs after the game?
That's true. Me, probably. Me and Zach are like, dude, please.
Yes.
So And also, I have to give a shout out to my boy Taylor Heineke out there playing for the Washington Skins. He's the backup. Is there?
He made a couple plays.
I know. And I was going to ask you, Ray, is there a world where Washington could be led by Taylor Heineke again?
This year, no.
Yeah. So let's say Carson Wentz gets hurt. Is Taylor Heineke going in, or is Sam making the push?
I think that they're going to let. I mean, Taylor Heineke would get that. But I mean, they're paying him as a backup role. I mean, they signed him to a 2-year contract.
But it's the same thing with the Logan Woodside and Malik Willis, where people are like, "Well, if Ryan Taylor."
I would take a Taylor Heineke over a Logan Woodside. Let's just be real here. Let's be real here. We're talking about two different players.
Yeah, one belongs in the USFL.
One who's never played. Has he ever played a professional NFL game?
No.
And Taylor Heineke, your old boy from your back in the day from from the XFL, has won several games. Who did he beat? Tell me who he beat twice.
Tom Brady,
the GOAT,
greatest of all time. He'll always get to say that.
Who else could say that?
Eli Manning.
Yeah, so you're in good company then.
That's it.
You're in good company.
Future Hall of Famer. No, we're gonna get it. No, we're not. No. We're going to break. We're not getting into this argument. All right, we're gonna stick on NFL storylines. Keep listening right here on Nashville Sports Radio. We're not getting into that Eli Manning stuff. All right.
Southeastern Davidson counties and has beer on tap at its Growler filling station. City Slickers also sells mixers, sodas, snacks, tobacco products, and the Tennessee Lottery, and can place special orders and assist with all your events and even wedding planning. Make sure you follow City Slickers on all their social media or just give them a call at 615-280-7469. That's 615-280-7469. Located in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers.
When I adopted her, she was a mess. Scabs, itching, licking, missing fur, hot spots, a thin, dull coat. So I take the dog to the vet for the standard run-of-the-mill tests and treatments. No results. I hear your advertisement on the radio.
DINOVITE.com.
So I get the 5-pound box of Dynavite and the Lico Chops within a 4-week total. Instead of a German Setter, I have a German Shepherd. Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life because she gets fed Dynavite. And the results, they're just incredibly outstanding. And she loves it. When you rescue a dog, you have to do the right thing. You've got to feed him right for life. Do the Dynavite. Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Fantasy football isn't just a game. It's a way of life. And with the NFL Fantasy app, your life just got way better. Get all the touchdowns, fantasy points, and bragging rights all in one place. It's free and easy to play. Just sign up and draft. Optimize your lineup with one click and watch exclusive player stories. From the stars you know to sleepers who can win you your league. NFL Fantasy. We live for this. Download the NFL Fantasy app today.
WNSR Nashville Sports Radio is your Middle Tennessee home for the best high school football coverage. Join me, Joe Fisher, along with Greg Pogue and the WNSR crew every Friday night for the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week. Each week, we're hitting the road and giving you the best coverage of the best high school football in Middle Tennessee. It's the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night on your home for high school football. WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
The show that would make visiting John Burton here. Make sure you lock in WNSR on your dial and tune in every weekday at 9 for the Greg Pogue and John Burton Show on Nashville Sports Radio.
I don't know what kind of witchcraft John Burton pulled for that to happen on the show. John Burton, we've made peace, but do you wish to reignite the drums of war? I know you did that. This is your one warning, John, all right? That was hilarious. Do the best with a bad situation. I want to act like John implanted that into our system, all right? He hacked the mainframe.
He definitely hacked the mainframe.
Yeah, he had some help.
I'm taking it now.
Patton, I know you did it too, all right? I know you guys are in cahoots together. Now, one thing I want to say is this whole situation with the Bucs and Tom Brady, this is the most unique story probably in NFL preseason. Tom Brady goes, bye-bye. He just leaves. He just leaves Tampa's training camp for, I believe, quote-unquote, family matters.
Personal matters.
They're not an emergency. It's not a medical emergency. They're all fine. Ian Rappaport's description was, it was important to find work-life balance. Which I've always said, I know the Bucs' style of practice, especially when they had Bruce Arians. They were probably the best quality of life team for someone to play for. You know, they weren't allowed in the office past 3. They treated you like pros. Do your work at home. So come in, we'll practice, we'll probably do a lift, we'll do some recovery, and we'll do a little bit of film. But other than that, you know, they want you to go to your kids' games. They want you to. They're the team most people would want to play for because the quality of life is so good. Tom Brady took that an extra step and just absolutely left training camp. I think this is, you know, Tom Brady's, first of all, the only guy that can get away with this. This is the only time in NFL history he can get away with this. Because God forbid, and I'm going back to it again, Kyler Murray just goes, I'm taking a week off during training camp. Arizona would be on fire. National media would be all over it. But Tom Brady, this is a guy who seems like he has one foot on his way out of the door. Are we going to see the real retirement after this season? I think so. I think he's just, I don't know why he's back, but he retired and he's back for one more ride, I think.
But he's always ready to play. It just sucks that we won't have Tom Brady in Nashville. I enjoy the whole Mike Vrabel, Tom Brady banter, especially years ago when he came over here for a joint practice and they went back and forth. I mean, they were all over social media, Twitter, about the arguing back and forth. Like, these guys generally love each other, and there's super high competitors between Mike Vrabel and Tom Brady. So it sucks that we won't be able to see him in Nashville this week when they take on the joint practice. I think it starts this week, and then they have the game later this weekend. But yeah, this is Tom Brady. We all know he's always going to be ready for the regular season. Tom Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls, won 7 of them. We're fine.
The only person that can get away with this. So Tom Brady, I'm glad it was you rather than. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa takes a week off. I'm never taking my foot off the throat. That's the storyline I go with forever. But Tom Brady can take a week off and just. Can you take a week off of work?
Ask Zach.
Well, Zach, here's the thing about Zach. Zach and him, like myself or you do, you know. Zach doesn't have the heart, the will. Zach doesn't have the drive to go to the death. Now, I don't want to.
So is he more Tom Brady or is he Kyler Murray? Tell me which one's Zach Williams.
Well, Zach, listen, Zach's not a Tom Brady or a Kyler. I'm a Kyler Murray.
You're the Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I'm the guy who's playing video games instead of studying film. I'm Kyler Murray. I'll openly admit I'm a Kyler Murray type. Whether it's good or bad, I just know that there's some people that can show. Like, do you know what Tom Brady did? They signed Julio Jones. He threw to him 2 practices, and he said, all right, well, that's all I need. He said, we're going to do this all season long. What? Yeah. The reason I think Tom Brady's so good is because he simplifies the game to an extremely minute level of. I mean, he was doing it all the time with Mike Evans.
We did it last year. What time did practice close? I mean, we always make fun of them. When they were in New England, the practices would go all day long.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
When it was in Tampa, Bruce Arians done by 3:00.
Yeah. Yeah.
Banking hours.
Well, because how hard is playing football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You have Mike Evans, and you had, let's go back last year. You had AB, you had Gronk. Like, hey, AB, run down the field really fast, cook that guy. O-line, give me 2 seconds, and I'll throw you the ball. How hard is that? How hard is any of that? I think the mic'd up in the championship game not the championship game, excuse me, but I think the mic'd up between Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes, and the Bills, I think that spoke volumes of the league. Whereas a lot of people read it as it can be an extremely complicated thing. You learn 1 million installs within 2 to 3 weeks, and it's hard. Travis Kelce was like, hey, this is working. Pat, throw me the ball. I'm going to run this route. Forget the play. I've heard stories of people that play with Tom Brady. Coordinators will bring him intricate game plans, details. Tom Brady will grab the entire offense for an hour meeting and say, guys, this is what we're going to do.
Yep.
That's true. That's a guy who just knows how to do it. So the offensive coordinator is trying to do his job, but Tom Brady does it for you. So, Tom, enjoy your week off, man, I guess. The most unusual thing ever, just to take a week leave from training camp. And you know what? They're probably going to win the division. They're probably going to be a top 4 team standing at the end of the line.
We're talking about the NFC East. 8. We're talking about the NFC here, by the way.
We're talking about and we need to come up with an algorithm for the NFC.
Yeah, we definitely do because it's them, the Rams.
Not football competition.
So
not football. I don't know. But the NFC is clearly behind, at least the national media's. I consider myself part of it. They're completely behind the AFC in terms of overall, in terms of combined level. How does a league handle that? When one league is clearly like
that lopsided advantage.
It feels like it is. Once you get to the Super Bowl, I mean, the top 3 and 4 teams in the NFC obviously could compete in the AFC. I mean, but the general middle level difference. Like if the Titans were in the NFC, we're like,
they win the conference.
We got we have to play against one man army Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. That's what's keeping us from the Super Bowl. Not Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill on the same team. We just have to beat Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how the NFL even handles something like that when a conference becomes so mismatched.
The AFC is definitely a conference.
I mean, nothing exposed it more than when we were ranking NFC quarterbacks, and we were like 4, Kirk Cousins.
Like, did we really just say that?
Lamar Jackson isn't even in, a lot of people put him out of the top 5 of the AFC. That's how good the AFC is. And MVP isn't even in the top 5.
Was Tom Brady supposed to even play in the preseason this year? Or does he ever play at all? Does he ever play in the preseason? I don't think I can recall a game that he's ever played.
Maybe a drive.
Maybe a snap.
Single drive.
Snap.
Tom Brady is the epitome of what the American man wants to be. Most successful. Work smarter, not harder.
Did you see the ticket prices for this preseason game? They were in the 200-300s, almost like it was a real game. Because Tom Brady was here. I wonder what they are now. Because if you look at the following week when they go play against Arizona, it's like $50.
Yeah, if you're going to watch these preseason games in person, I have no idea.
But for $200, Bruno, you're playing $235, $260, $300, what have you, for lower level, bowl level, first out. Are you kidding? Because you might see Tom Brady walking in his T-shirt.
Yeah. I want to mix it up real quick. Ray, have you heard the story about the LSU quarterback, Miles Brennan?
No, I have not.
He's walking away from football.
Okay.
He just recently transferred to LSU. I believe he had around $1.5 million in NIL deals. Now, you want to know the best part about him walking away, Ray?
Tell me.
He gets to keep the money. I've been saying this.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
I've been saying this. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not performance-based. He just gets to keep the money. I've been saying this. Companies that are throwing these ridiculous amount of dollars are going to get burned real fast, and they're going to be like, wow, this is ridiculous. The market of college football is definitely going to correct itself. This is the golden age of making money. Arch Manning will probably make, fortune. But these other, if you're going into the market 5 to 6 to 7 years from now, you're not going to make, this might be the highest the market is. So it might go super high, like when a company goes public, then it just drops immediately, and then it slowly inches its way back through the years. But I think you're going to see a lot more of this. I mean, guys are just he's like, I have $1.5 million, and the camp's not going well for me. I'm just going to walk away from football. A lot of people want to quit football anyways. I play with so many people that hate football and just want to quit it. Give them $1 million. Well, they'll walk right home, Yeah. So props to him for making that decision. Personally, there's something really, I guess it's just the honor in me, but if I get paid $1.5 million, $1.5 million, and then I just don't play.
It's robbery.
It's robbery. It feels like I'm robbing somebody, right? But for the people that can do that and opt in, I guess shamelessly, good for you. Now, the thing about NIL is they don't have to, I guess, disclose everything about it, but from what we can tell, dude is going to get paid to go home. And I don't think this is the last story. So he had deals with Raising Cane's, all these big companies.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine that, paying $1.5 million for a guy to represent your brand, and then he's just like, I'm not going to.
He destroys his own.
Yeah, I mean, football's not for everybody, so you got to do what's best. But there's just something about these guys making $1 million. I prefer this system over what we had 4 to 5 years ago. Any day, if players getting paid, it is what it is. It's the open market. I advocate for this. So even though this is weird and unusual, I can live with this. All right, and it's not like I'm going to cry over these companies getting burned. They should have given me the money. You want someone who will die on the shield? You give me the money, not some backup LSU quarterback. Anyways. I just had to go out there and talk a little bit about.
Well, so he
story.
can't honor that commitment. Like he still can't do whatever it is that, whether it be social, because I'm pretty sure he has a strong following, right?
I mean,
not
anymore.
Not anymore.
He doesn't play college football. Who cares what he has to say? He doesn't play football at all. The thing that made him famous, it's done. So unless he's playing football, who cares what he has to say about? He's a nobody now. Wow. That's how quick. Hey, so that's the athlete life, baby. That's how quick things can change up on you.
When money's involved, for sure.
Money corrupts. Money money in the
now.
millions.
What is this domino effect like going to play now, right? Because now you're going to see other collegiate athletes doing the same thing, possibly.
Well, if you're a collegiate athlete and you're getting paid millions of dollars, and let's say you get a 7th round draft evaluation, I think you're going to see.
But then you quit football.
Yeah.
All right, here's $3 million from like 7 sponsors. You're going into your
here's $3 million from 7 sponsors, and then once you graduate college, you're gonna have to compete you're gonna have to double your talents and efforts and compete at the highest level possible to maybe make $300K after taxes in the National Football League.
So I'm walking away, right?
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that just from the sheer, because also when you're young, it's hard for a young person to make a decision like that, right? Unless you really hate football. Which there are some guys who really hate football.
You know what's crazy? That I remember back in the day, like $1 million was not a lot of money over the last 10 years, but now it's slowly starting to creep back up. Like $1 million is actually pretty nice.
Hey, Ray, I don't know who you're talking to. $1 million is always a lot of money.
Yeah, but it was like $1 million like 20 years ago. It was like, it's not what it used to be. And then it was like $1. It was not like $10. $10 is like, now it's 20, and then it's 50, what have you. The denominations kept going up and up. And I was like, if you're a millionaire, that's great. Everyone's a millionaire.
As someone who's evaluated around $1 to $5 million.
Yeah, of course. I'll wait for the valuation
to
cap. Yeah. But now it's like, $10 million. Okay, now you have some money, because $1 million, you're like, you buy a house, taxes, whatever, and then you're left with like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do a lot with $1 million. I can do a lot.
Speaking of millions of dollars, have you seen the current discourse around Lamar Jackson and his contract is?
No.
I think they're willing to pay him. Like the whispers right now is they're willing to pay him more than Kyler Murray,
which should have been
that should have been
the floor.
Yeah. So now that's coming. I mean, the clock's ticking. Is Lamar going to play in the season without a contract?
They said they were going to stop contract discussions during the season. So they got up until training camp ends. Once that's done, contract talks stop until the next year.
They have 3 weeks to fix this. They have less than 3 weeks to solve this issue.
Or he's going to go in there with no contract. The next year they'll basically revisit and see what happens. Either he signs or because I think his contract ends next year, right? I mean, I believe that's where he becomes a free agent. So of course, the Baltimore Ravens are not going to be stupid. They're going to go and franchise tag him next year, and then try to buy himself more time.
Yeah, the contract talks at this level. That's tough. It's a tough discourse.
Right.
It's extremely. I feel like it's easy to find player motivations for their positions, like a Kyler Murray scrubbing his social media, like everything Kyler Murray did. We could understand from the team standpoint. That's the hard one to nail down. Mm-hmm. Like why? For example, why won't the Bears pay Roquan Smith? What is their motive? What's their plan? Because they have a group of 5 to 6 people, and they come together and they're like, this we're gonna slow play him this way. They have a plan. They have a plan of action, and they stick to it. It's just harder to nail down the team's point of view than it is the player, because obviously the player wants to. Like we're all thinking, why don't they just pay Lamar Jackson, X number of money for X number of years? Like it's the simplest thing in the world, right? It's hard to nail down what these teams are thinking.
Do you think that Raekwon wants out more or less? It has to do with him than anything else?
Well, there's an interesting story with Raekwon Smith. Apparently, his agent isn't NFLPA certified.
Oh,
so
there's always that
illegal.
Yes,
that you're not allowed if your agent isn't verified with the NFLPA. So that's another hilarious story, but that's developing right now.
Right.
I'm not sure. I think it all falls onto the agent rather than the teams dealing with him, because.
Well, what are the players? The players are like, hey, I don't want to. I want to trade. And there's 2 teams that came up in the discussions today: the Cleveland Browns, of course, because they're involved in every trade possible, and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm hoping my Washington team will actually throw their hand, themselves in the ring to possibly get an opportunity to get a Raekwon Smith, because we definitely need linebacker help. But it looks like, there's teams out there, and I think it's not only those two teams. I think there's a plethora of teams. I think maybe half the league would be interested in a Raekwon Smith. I mean, because look at the Chicago Bears. Are they going to be competitive this year?
If
you're a player, you're like, look, I want out. I don't like what I see.
You won your little preseason game, Chicago against the Chiefs. Which, first of all, Chiefs
means
L.
Nothing.
Chiefs L told you 0-17 is coming for the Kansas City Chiefs. Zach's dad, if you're listening, you guys have no chance. You lost to the Bears. You lost to a poverty franchise. How does that feel?
Yeah.
You lost to Justin L. Hold this L from Justin Fields.
Yeah.
How does that feel, Kansas City? Anyways, now, realistic talk, it's a preseason game. Who cares? But, hey, you know who did play friend of the show, Carting Blasting game? He looked good.
Carty did have a good game.
Yeah, Justin Fields, quote-unquote, passes the first test. But you know what his numbers were? 4 of 7 for 48 yards. So, yeah, you could say he passed the first. Like, that's ridiculous. That's like people crowning Malik Willis the future for completing 6 passes. God, preseason NFL. I love it and I hate it. I have a love-hate. I have a more love than I do a hate for it. But this is just what you get out of it, all right? The Titans didn't get to see much. I am jealous of other teams, whereas they had more fleshed out performances, whether it be good or bad. The Titans were just kind of average all around. We didn't get to see Kyle Phillips. We didn't get to see Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks ran 20 routes and was targeted once. We didn't get to see those more fan-circulated guys than other teams did.
The only thing we had eyes on was basically 2 players, and that was Treylon Burks and Malik Willis. One impressed, the other one.
And even Malik Willis didn't even impress me that way. He did his job.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
I think that's a great start because Logan Woodside did not, and that's the other player that stood out for all the negative reasons, all the bad reasons.
But yeah, Logan Woodside came in, completed like 20 passes, but when you throw 2 picks, everyone's like, why is he even on the field? Get him out of here. Speaking of get him out of here, we got to get to a break. We're going to keep talking NFL preseason to end the show, all right, guys? But stay tuned. Keep listening. You're on Nashville Sports Radio.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
Ad paid for by Open Jar Concepts. Attention, this is an important notice for anyone who has used a Philips CPAP machine or ventilator. In June 2021, the FDA announced that Philips issued a recall affecting nearly 4 million CPAP, BiPAP, and ventilator units. The recall was issued due to health risks associated with the foam utilized for sound reduction, which may degrade over time into harmful chemicals. The Philips CPAP recalled devices can potentially result in injuries including kidney, liver, or heart damage, cancer, or severe skin, ear, nose, or throat inflammation. If you or a loved one used a Philips CPAP, BiPAP, or ventilator and later suffered an injury, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call us now at 800-354-6114. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us at 800-354-6114. That's 800-354-6114. Again, 800-354-6114.
What's up, Nashville? It's Ray from Run With It. Let me tell you about my good friends over at Red Rose Hype Shop. If you're looking to upgrade your closet with the flyest streetwear and brands like Yeezys, Jordans, Supremes, and much more, go see my friends at Red Rose Hype Shop, the hottest place in Nashville where you can buy, sell, trade, and even consign your gear. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram by searching at Red Rose Hype Shop. You can also visit them at 1187 Antioch Pike, Nashville. They're open from noon to 6 Tuesday through Saturday and 12:30 to 5 on Sundays. And be sure to tell them that Ray sent you.
Five-state forecast.
Your exclusive national sports radio, WNSR Sky Scan forecast. This afternoon is going to be mostly sunny, high 86. Mainly clear tonight, low 62. Saturday, sunny, high 88. Sunny Sunday, high 92. Partly sunny, a straight thunderstorm Monday. Utilizing the resources of the Mother Bug Network on National Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's meteorologist, Jim Rinaldi.
Sports Radio, WNSR.
The show that makes the average person say, hey, I can do that. The Afternoon Stretch.
Welcome back, Afternoon Stretch. We cut the fat out of the show. If Zach Williams not here, I think Zach will be back tomorrow. But until then, you got me. Last segment of the show, if you want to call on the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600. Got Ray Dosky here with me to finish it out. We got about 9 minutes left, 10 minutes left. So if this is your last chance to call in, guys. Real quick, I want to give a Klein Preston Law Braves update. The Braves, they're playing today. Pitches at 6:20.
6:20. Pregame starts 6:05. Who do they have, Bruno?
The Mets.
Oh.
And the Braves are coming off losing so the last series they had, I believe it was around a week ago with the Mets. The Braves, lost the first game, come back, and then they lose out the next two. The Braves are currently second in the NL East behind the Mets. They're 5 games behind. So technically, if the Braves could absolutely sweep the Mets this week, it would cut the deficit. I mean, these games are going to be so important if the Braves want to look to take first in the NL East. But it's still a long season.
The Phillies are surging now. They won 7 straight, and then they lost the series against the Mets over the weekend. Yeah. So it looks like it's a 3-headed monster. I wish I could throw Washington involved in that.
No.
But they decided to trade all their assets the last 2 years. So all their assets are gone. Juan Soto, Voyage.
Listen,
I'm just so like.
We throw around the term.
Yeah. I wasn't really upset when Harper left, but Juan Soto kind of that's a little dig. I mean, that kind of hurts.
Well, it's because it's like, can you ever have a good thing and hold on to it?
This is Washington. We can never have a good thing.
You're like,
you're not allowed to.
You're like that dad that's on his 4th divorce.
Yes,
it's like no marriage is ever going to work out for you.
Yeah, I just need to stop. Stop.
Well, I mean, we throw around the term poverty franchise a lot. Yep. Washington is just that, and it sucks because they're willing to spend the money. Well, there could be an argument that not the money that Juan wanted or deserved, but that's your Klein Preston Law Braves update. If the Braves are looking to take first in the NL East, this series is going to be huge against the Mets. They got 4 games coming up, back to back to back to back. WNSR is your host for the Braves, and Klein Preston Law is our sponsor all season long regarding WNSR, the Braves. So make sure to check out Klein Preston Law. All right.
You know what's great about this is that they're actually playing at Truist Park, and the Braves have won the last 6 against them at Truist Park. So
that's a stat.
That's a nice little thing.
When the Braves started out their series last time against the Mets a few weeks ago, I put money on the Braves, and then they got absolutely smacked. They came off the plane, and everyone was like, get back on the plane. What are you doing? The game was lost by the 3rd inning. So I lost all my money. Then what did the Braves do? The second game of the series, they come out, and they absolutely bend the Mets over and smack them around. I was like, of course. So I'm just not going to, for the sake of the Braves, I'm not going to touch it. If anything, if I was a real Braves fan, I should just bet on the Mets, because then I know the Mets would fail me. That's a way I could emotionally manipulate myself into accepting lost bets. It's like, I'm doing this so the Braves will win. That's the only way. I'll tell you what, if the Braves lose their first game of the series, I'll bet on the next 3 on the Mets, so that way the Braves win.
The next 3, really?
Yeah. So that way the Braves can win, all right? I'll do it because that's the type of man I am. That's the type of sacrifice I'll make.
What I meant to say is the Braves are riding a 6-game win streak coming into Truist Park against this 4-game set. So,
listen, at least, MLB is starting to go into their golden days, right? This is where baseball, for a guy like me, it starts to get exciting, right? There are people that love baseball year-round, but when we start getting to October, that's when, it really starts to count. It really starts to get exciting.
Not only the series, but then it starts to become a game-to-game point.
Yeah,
I will say October time frame.
Yeah, I do enjoy high-level MLB at this point more than watching Cooper Rush and Ben DiNucci go out there and absolutely botch the Cowboys this preseason.
What did they have? 14 penalties in that game?
The Dallas Cowboys. We always throw around, it's preseason. Don't worry. None of it matters. 14 penalties is a clear culture problem. That if we had 14 penalties, we would have been crucified on top of the stadium.
Was the stadium open? Was Jerry World open? The stadium? It was
I
raining.
don't know.
I think it was raining inside. Were they playing in Jerry World? I don't know where it was.
So it's going to be raining in the season.
Yeah,
you're going to play in the rain.
But I made it fun because I was watching it with a buddy of mine, and I basically said that it started raining. I said, "Wow, it's going to rain now. It's raining now. I hope the Dallas doesn't get sloppy." After their 14
I mean,
penalties.
that's a peak storyline of preseason football. Ben DiNucci can't overcome the weather. Dallas loses.
But the NFL decides to throw a little highlight reel of him doing like a little sidearm thing. I'm like, out of everything you got in the Cowboys game was just a little sidearm throw?
It's shameless is what it is. And listen, I don't know. I don't even want to bring it up, but if I was, for whatever reason, the GM coach of the Giants, first thing I'm doing is I'm framing Daniel Jones for a crime and trying to get him thrown in jail. What is this guy doing leading an NFL team? How can you not divorce this guy yet? We need to find out how to save our boys in the Giants. I know you don't want to save the Giants, Ray, because you would love to see them, and personally me too. While Taylor is still on the Washington Commanders, I would love every single team, Dallas, Eagles, Giants, to just suck so Washington can rise to the top for at least 1 year.
If the Giants lose even more, that's actually double the ante for you, because guess who's a big Giants fan here at National Sports Radio?
John Burton?
That's right. Yep.
John Burton.
Your boy.
John Burton would be a fan. A fan is someone who's a fan of a poverty franchise, which is what the Giants are. Sorry to say.
And he can't change allegiance. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm a Jets fan." I'm like, even better.
Yeah.
At least you have a winning Super Bowl winning quarterback on that team.
New York and pro football just hasn't hit the same. They had miracle seasons with Eli Manning, but what's that worth when your team is actually in New Jersey anyways?
Let me ask you this, but how do you feel about, because normally you see like the traditional winning programs, organizations. You talked about the Steelers. You didn't even get to your Steelers talk.
Yeah. I know. Well, it's like, hey, we have Kenny Pickett, our first round pick, and we have Mitch Trubisky, who a lot of people are penciling in, who are a great player. That Matt Nagy and that Bears, culture ruined.
I don't know how the Steelers do it, but you look at Steelers, like the organization like that, not had a losing franchise since the 1800s. I mean, it's been crazy. But then you see teams that have been winning year in, year out, like the Giants, the Washingtons, name a team that's been like, that used to be great, that's been lackluster. Do you like those teams to go back into those? Because, they always say like, oh, if the Giants were winning again, that's good for football, or the Jets are good for football if they won, or Washington, or fill in the blank team. Or do you like teams that are like, you know what, they just came out of the blue and they start consistently winning? Are you a fan of that as opposed to like the traditional teams winning year in and year out?
I'm a fan of hating.
Okay. Fair enough. I figured that's where you're going to go
when
with
the Giants draft Daniel Jones and they're like, this is the quarterback of the future, I revel in every single year of your mediocrity.
No, that makes sense.
When you hire a coach that's like, we're going to run stadiums, and we're going to do that every practice, and everyone's going to be hard.
Yep.
It's the NFL. Yeah. They're all already hard. They're coming in with that high school coach stuff. So you have Dr. Doofenshmirtz Brainiac at quarterback, Duke graduate, and then you have an actual goblin as your head coach for a few years.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. The recipe for disaster up in New York.
Dan Campbell, man. Dan Campbell, I love Dan Campbell.
Everyone loves Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell too.
Could you play for a Dan Campbell?
Absolutely. I would love.
Like, he's your coach. Does he gravitate to you as a player?
Yeah, I would love a Dan Campbell. But just because I gravitate to Dan Campbell doesn't mean that would gravitate our team to wins. Love doesn't.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
At the end of the day, it's all wins, baby. You know who doesn't love their coach? You know who had no love at all for any of the Patriots organization during the greatest dynasty the NFL has ever seen? There was no love. It was brutal. It was cutthroat. There was no emotion. It was robotic. It was do this, be here. You have no autonomy. Bill Belichick.
Soldier-like.
I'm the emperor.
Yes.
And they were the best. So Dan Campbell can go around and the Lions can be like, I love you. I'll die for you. I'll die for this. They can do that for the cameras all they want to. It doesn't guarantee them wins, and I'm a fan. I love it. It made me call back the Tampa Bay Bandits and be like, I want to play football again. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I see those clips. I'm like, I wish I cared about something right now as much as I cared about football when I was playing.
Right.
This radio station and you guys, Adam, Zach, you, Ray, you all are kind of becoming that for me. So thank God I finally have something to move away from.
I'm glad we're able to
with.
provide that for you, buddy.
But when I see
the
those,
same way.
yeah, when I see those Dan Campbell clips, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, man.
You get that itch? Do you get that itch again? Like you're
Of
like,
course,
oh, like
I get that itch. But you know what? That itch doesn't guarantee you wins. It doesn't guarantee you wins. And it doesn't matter how much emotion you have. It doesn't matter. If you're not winning, you're not having fun. The only way to have fun in the National Football League is to win.
You got a good point. I like everything about your argument.
So
I just always wonder, like, these coaches like that, do they actually win in the locker room? I always wonder that because
they do. I mean, the guys in the locker room, I guarantee you love them. But that doesn't mean they're going to win. They're going to be this year's America's team. It is what it is. I'm rooting for them too.
On the over of 6.5. Please tell me you will.
I hope they win their division. I hope they dethrone mental Aaron Rodgers. Guys, before I get on a tangent, that's it for the day. All right, we'll get Zach back to have some control over the show. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy listening as much as I enjoy doing this show. It's been a blast. Ray, thank you as always. Okay, this week, new show Friday, Mid-State Checkdown. Keep on the look for that, guys. Love y'all. Appreciate it. Hope you had fun. You've been listening to WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.